Okay.
That's pretty
It's a
crazy.
lot better now, I think.
Yeah, let's get closer to the water. No more crazy, weird phenomena. It's really dark in here, so I'm gonna turn some lights on so everybody can see me. But yeah, pretty much with this interview, we might have some people viewing it. Everybody, is like in different parts of the world, so it might be one or two people that'll come in, or but really, it's for us to just record it so they can see it after it's been recorded and everything. That's pretty
Mm.
much how it's gonna go. But yeah, so basically, yeah, just introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you do, and
Okay.
your life story pretty
Life story. Okay, that's a long question, but okay. I'll
much.
start with introducing myself. So, if the internet connection is good and y'all can hear me, I have a little cold today, so my voice is slightly nasally, but I hope it's quite understandable. So, um, my name is Kartika Nair, and I run this personal development brand called SynchroShakti, which originally started as a YouTube channel about 7 years ago. And it's still a YouTube channel. I mean, the YouTube channel is still part of the brand, but then the brand is now a coaching training brand. And then there's also conscious music that is attached to it because I sing and play music as well. So basically, that's what I do. I run SynchroShakti, and SynchroShakti is personal development, but like your group, it is a mindfulness-based work that we do. And that's about me. Do you want me to talk about my history?
You could expound on how you came into like spirituality, like just to bring it,
Okay.
more condensed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I came onto spirituality when I was very young, maybe from the time that I could remember. Not because I was born in India and I live in India and it's India. India is all about spirituality, not because of that, but because I used to have a lot of experiences that I would say I wouldn't call them paranormal, but they were kind of out of the ordinary experiences. So I used to question a lot of things because I would experience a lot of different things. Like I would have a dream, and then the next day, whatever I saw in the dream would come true, or I would stand on a heap of stones, and then I take a stone and I throw it, and I would say, if the stone passed a certain distance, then XYZ was going to come true, or whatever. So I kind of realized that we had a little creative power. But I also, so I grew up trying to understand metaphysics. I started reading books on hypnosis and subconscious mind, and I have a lot of
Hmm.
books that I read. So I kind of grew up with experiences. Then, obviously, as all of us, you don't get into personal development or spirituality when unless you're in the sink or swim situation where you need help, to get out yourself. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, eventually I went through a lot of depression and then I had panic and anxiety disorders. And to get out of that, I found mindfulness, which is what got me out of all of that. And then I teach that now. But backtracking, I got into spirituality just because I wanted to know more and also get out of my own crazy stuff. That is how I got in. But I got in really early, at about age 8. I am now 27, so a long time ago.
Nice, nice. Man, that's pretty interesting. So like have you ever witnessed like ghosts or spirits? Like have you ever like seen apparitions or anything like that?
Yeah. I have never seen an apparition my entire life. Like, I've experienced all kinds of paranormal experiences, but I've never seen an apparition of an actual human form. I mean, that's what you see on YouTube and on TV and in the movies, that you see a humanoid form. I have never seen that, but I have seen, things moving, or I have seen shadows and lights, but I'm not very concerned about that. I think once you get into the world of mindfulness, it's just all about transcending all of this. But yeah, I've
Yeah.
definitely seen interesting things, but nothing in the form of an apparition or a human, body or anything like that.
Okay, good, good. So what would you tell people who are just now starting spirituality that may be more interested in things such as astral travel, seeing spirits, communicating with the dead, and all that, who may not be so aware of mindfulness, what advice would you give them to start their journey?
I think that there are several levels to spirituality. I think, there is this whole pattern of trying to find something greater than the physical realm, which has its
Mm-hmm.
place to play. And I think knowing that there's something greater shows you that you can create something greater. I think it has its place, definitely. In my journey, there was a time where I was very interested in astral projection and in trying to, in lucid dreaming and, sleep paralytic states so that you can go back into lucid dreaming. So I was interested in those things, and I think those things play a role. But in the longer spiritual journey, if you're looking at, self-realization or getting over your own um, ego and your own transgressions and your own pain body. I don't see a role that astral projection would play there, but I think those who want to see what is greater than just this physical realm, nobody's stopping you. I think it has a role to play in the journey. But at some point, you have to look within and see, what in you is false, which is your ego, your pain body, and transcend that. And once you transcend, not that I've transcended my ego, but I'm on the path anyway. But once you're getting rid of your own limitations, you can open up to greater possibilities. And so, that's I have no advice for them. They have their journey, and they'll find the way on it on their own.
Definitely, definitely. Excellent. Yeah. So do you feel like particularly people in the West that are quote unquote spiritual or aware of spirituality, do you feel that their awareness of spirituality is greatly due to Indian yogis and sages who traveled here in the 1800s and 1900s that pretty much disseminated that sort of information to this side of the planet?
I don't know. I mean, a very logical answer would be yes, it's because of the Indians. No, I don't know. Spirituality, first of all, is not located to India and Indian, gurus and lineage to India alone. Even in the Bible, if you look at the core spiritual teachings, there is a lot, even, everything is pointing back to I am path of salvation, the whole thing of I am consciousness, presence. So I don't think it's just the Indians who came and taught that. I think it's been there. It's just that the teachings are not taught spiritually in the West. I think it's looked at as religion. So I think religion and spirituality are mixed up in the Western world. But I don't know if it's the Indians who brought it there. But there are a lot of Indian gurus who brought this to the West. But I'm not sure whether the Western awakening happened predominantly because of the Indian rishis who came there.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. Yes, that's a common misperception that a lot of people have is that a lot of the spiritual knowledge is only from the East, when in reality, humans since antiquity have been connected to the divine and, just nature and the universe all over, all indigenous peoples throughout the world, Africans, Native Americans, etc. So yes, that's very good to clear up. So
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you about your experiences with Ho'oponopono, the ancient Hawaiian prayer. A lot of people don't know about this prayer, but I feel as though it's very powerful and it can transform and also heal an individual. So could you expound
Yeah.
on Ho'oponopono for people, please?
Yeah. So the original Ho'oponopono that that the Hawaiians practice is not what we teach, because what we teach is the Western appropriation of the Hawaiian tradition. So a lot of the Hawaiian people will not recognize what you're saying or what we are saying, because it's just like in Hinduism. What if I go to America? a lot of what is appropriated of our yogic traditions, I wouldn't be able to recognize it because it's appropriated. So it's similar to that, but I still teach it because whatever version we have of it right now is very, very powerful. So the whole philosophy of this prayer, it's a tradition called Ho'oponopono. It is basically to make things right. Um, and when I say make things right, it basically means that the prayer states that you are 100% responsible for the things that you attract in your reality, whether it's in your internal reality or your external reality. The 100, it's 100%, not 80%, not 20%, but 100%. And that which attracts this reality to you is what they call as subconscious data. Okay, data is not just your older memories that are going on or your programming, but it's also things that we've imbibed from our parents or the people around us, because your subconscious mind doesn't have a filter. It doesn't think for itself. It absorbs a lot of programming we have within the society we live in, or our own experiences, and the way we think also filters down into the subconscious level. So a lot of the data comes from also the water you drink, and just generally the information is transferred very easily to your subconscious mind, and those programs then begin to start reflecting as the reality that you are experiencing. So Ho'oponopono is nothing but working on your subconscious mind, releasing its attachment to the programs, the memories, the data that is creating a certain reality to come to you. So as you begin to clean or clear that subconscious data, you will notice that the reality around you also begins to shift a little bit, because reality is nothing but a reflection of what is going on inside. So that is basically what Ho'oponopono is. I don't know how it works to this day. I'm a very scientific person. I go pretty much on experience, my
Yeah.
experience, but I don't know how it works, but it works. And that is why I continue to teach it.
Yes, yes, very effective indeed. I also wanted to ask you too, when it comes to one taking responsibility via acknowledging and recognizing that their subconscious pretty much is the powerhouse of their reality that is generating all of the experiences that they're having in their life. I want to ask you, do you feel that, say, people who are into divination systems such as deity worship and like using different gods to manifest and sort of like clean their subconscious instead of using, say, any of their own self methods of just I'm trying to like word it correctly, but like basically, people there's people that would work with deities, say like Lord Ganesha, somebody like that, and would try to remove obstacles when, like you were just explaining about Ho'oponopono, which is pretty much the same process, but it's just yourself acknowledging that your own your own accountability for the things that's pretty much blocking you from whatever success or anything that you want. Do you feel, which one do you feel is more effective, and like what's your take on that pretty much?
Okay. So there is no external. Okay. So you said Lord Ganesha. Lord Ganesha, for those who don't know, is one of the deities in the Hindu pantheon of gods. And if you look at him closely, you will see that he is highly symbolic. All of the ancient Hindu gods, they are like early day infographics, okay, to represent something, to represent an idea.
Oh,
So if you look at him carefully, you'll see the different aspects of him. You'll see his one feet is on the ground, another feet is up in the air. By the way, when I'm speaking these things about Hindu gods, don't think that all Hindus think this way. I'm probably saying stuff that the Hindu, people who are very attached to Hinduism and deity worship might not like what I'm saying, but a lot of it is very symbolic of how life is represented through these deities. So having one feet on the ground and one feet up in the air represents grounding, which is your lower chakras, and the higher cosmic realities as well, which is your higher chakras, right? So the a lot of people will take it literally, obviously, to, worship, go to the temple and speak to Lord Ganesha and say, please remove this. But what is also happening is that it is faith in many ways that is allowing the subconscious mind to let go of whatever is causing the block, which then allows for that result to take place. So in my opinion, since there is no outside, all creation is happening through you, because consciousness is moving through you as much as the deity. It's in you as well. So it's literally a co-creation. Even if there is a consciousness that is greater than just our own, our own physical form, it's still a co-creation. You're still part of the equation. So I think always what is more powerful is you doing it yourself than depending on a deity to do it for you, because it all comes down to faith. Because if you are, again, you know this as much as me, we've prayed for so many things in the temple, in the church, in the mosque. We've prayed for so many things, but has every single one of them come true? Of course not, because the creation aspect is not just happening through the deity, it's also your own blocks and your own fears and your own attachments to the outcome that is blocking that from coming. So at the end of the day, it's always more powerful for you to be doing your own work, releasing your own stuff, and using, if you do believe in deity, using that as, a complementary thing to your own work, than just solely depending on a deity or a spell, and like many people go on YouTube and they're looking for some sort of a spell for money or whatever. So that just isn't long-term success. It's just short-term gain, So you for long-term work, you've got to work on yourself. In my opinion, okay, I hope that made sense.
Oh yeah. Yes, I definitely agree. Self accountability and just, total trust in yourself, because when you understand that you are the universe experiencing yourself, as so many say, you then will understand your own power. So yeah, so I also wanted to see what's your take on like various like astral or etheric entities, spirit guides, ancestors, what's your perspective on those things? Like, do you think that they are just mere manifestations of our subconscious, or are they some sort of actual higher dimensional, interdimensional beings that are tethered to our subconscious? Like, what's your take
Okay,
on that?
that's a very good question. So I don't consciously think about that because it's not part of my particular practice or anything like that. But I know that in the spiritual community, spirit guides and angels and all this is a really big thing. I haven't personally experienced too much for me to have a very solid opinion on it. But what I do know is that a couple of things. One is, and I'm not the only one who experiences this. A lot of people experience this, and we see points of light that appear in and out of space when you're just not even looking for it. Maybe I'm just sitting on my laptop and doing some work, and suddenly there's this point of light that appears in the fabric of this conscious reality I'm living in. So I see a lot of the times, like when I switch off the lights or look at the sky, I will see things that I don't believe are mind projected. I do believe that, I don't know what they are, whether they are energy or whether it's just, particles coming in and out of, I don't know what it is, but I do feel that there are higher dimensional beings. I just have not spent a lot of time in their presence, or looking into it deeply for me to give you a very solid answer. I do not like to make up any answer and mislead anybody. I'll be very honest. I cannot say, because I have experienced um, beings of a higher dimensional reality, but it's been so long back that I even went into the world to even see anything for me to know if that was an archangel or whether, what it was. I don't know. But I do believe in higher entities. I just don't know what they are.
Okay, excellent, understandable, definitely.
Yeah, I,
Those are
I, I
great
can't
answers.
I can't comment because I haven't lived in that world for too long.
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect. It's always best to, only speak from experience and
Always,
practicality.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, what was another question that I had? So for mindfulness, what sort of advice would you give to someone who may be experiencing undesired reoccurring thought? What sort of either mental exercises or meditations or techniques would you uh, pretty much suggest to them to pretty much resolve that reoccurring undesired thought?
Okay. So I'm sure you all already know this because you all are a mindfulness-based community. But how I how we work with undesired thoughts over and over again is to first drop the whole idea of it being undesired, because that's resistance, and what you resist will keep persisting. So every time you're like, I don't want these thoughts, I hate these thoughts, they're depressing me, you've given it the power to first of all continue and also to pull you down. So in mindfulness, as you know, mindfulness is the natural ability to observe and dissolve thoughts, emotions, and behavior that arise in the present moment. So, simply in the act of observation of these thoughts, the very fact that you know that these are thoughts going on in your head should show you that if I can witness these thoughts, I cannot be these thoughts. I have to be some sort of presence that is witnessing the thought. Even if it is my mind witnessing my mind, something is still aware of the fact that my mind is witnessing my mind. There is always some Wizard of Oz in the background that is aware there is this conscious existence, which means if I take away your entire history, your memory, your thoughts, I just wipe it all out, you will still exist. You will not just disappear into thin air. That existence is what we call awareness or consciousness. That is pure awareness moving through all things. It's in everything. It's pure consciousness. So, sitting in the seat of consciousness and witnessing the thoughts arising will allow them to come up and come out to a point where it loses its energy, its momentum, because a recurring thought is a brain pattern. It's wired in the neural system. It's got an energy field that is energy field about it so much, and the pain body, which is your experiences in the past.
It just froze up for a second. Try- Uh, yeah, I just lost you. Let me Oh yeah, bring them on the camera. Technical difficulties, folks.
Hello.
Sometimes it's okay. Yeah, back. Cool, cool.
What
Yeah.
was the last thing you heard me say?
You were talking about like you were saying something about did like something electromagnetic, not electromagnetic. You were saying it's something about electric. I heard electric, like it started freezing up,
You mean
but
new pathways? Is that what I said?
yeah, something about like neural pathways. Like
Okay. All right. So what I was saying is that you need to sit in the seat of observation, which has no judgment or resistance. You're just literally passively watching, and notice not just the thought, but also how the thought makes you feel. So, where in the body can you feel that the energy behind that thought? So, if you have any form of resistance to that thought, or the thought makes you feel scared or upset, notice where you can feel that upset, and then watch that till that upset intensifies and then eventually loses its momentum and then it releases. So every time you observe the thought and observe the emotion associated with that, you don't feed into it. You're simply watching it and giving it the space to come up and come out. So as you do that, you will eventually rewire that from your brain, but also that pattern will lose its momentum and you'll be back into the silence of the present moment.
precisely, precisely. That's excellent. Yes, see, it's very simple, but it's like us human beings, we've been conditioned for so long to misidentify ourselves as our thoughts, and we see the thought as a actuality or reality when in reality it's merely an illusory projection of something from the past. and the past isn't present. So that's a very good way to explain it. Um, so what sort of insight would you give to an individual who may be curious about mindfulness and wants to begin observing their minds and thinking and want to understand how thought functions on an actual level?
Okay. So your question is what insight can I give a person who wants to start learning to observe his thoughts?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, First of all, because the mind is like this fan that has been kept on for so long, when you switch it off, it's not going to immediately stop. It's going to have its own momentum. You need to build a presence to be able to witness it without you getting identified with the thought that is appearing. Because as humans, we have spent so long, first of all, keeping the fan on because we keep spinning it constantly, but also we are identifying with the sense of self, these thoughts that we have. So the more we have identified with it, the more momentum it has to pull us in. So building the presence to be able to witness it is the first and foremost thing. Now, if you go back to books like Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, he will tell you a lot of these cool ways of coming to the present moment and being able to witness and build the presence to be able to watch, right? I don't believe that you can, it's very easy for you to start watching your thoughts without you having a little bit of presence to be able to sit for a long time and observe it. So the way that Eckhart has taught us, and this is also what I teach in my courses, is learning to, be in the body, learning to witness the energy consciousness moving through the body, learning to stay grounded in consciousness and be able to be more present in everyday life first. Before you start observing your thoughts, start observing what is around you and within you without judgment or resistance. So as you keep doing that, as you always, you're looking around and you're like, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I feel on my body? What do I feel in my body? Without offering any judgment or resistance, you're learning to witness things. And then when you start witnessing what's going on internally, you witness. So you're learning to become more of a witness instead of
Mhm.
a reactor. So as you do that for some time, you will become it becomes easier for you to watch.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the noise of the mind and the pain body will suck you in, and you'll get totally unconscious and possessed by what you were trying to witness, right? So I think it starts with first learning to be a witness slowly but surely. So you start with 20 seconds and then work your way up to 20 minutes. You don't just jump into a 20-minute meditation because your mind will just go in three seconds, you've already lost yourself. And, so I think it starts with first becoming a witness to just what's going on here inside and outside, learning to, not offer judgment and seeing things as it is and not as we are, and then slowly graduating to noticing the thoughts that are appearing, because then you've gotten, it's like the training wheel stage when you're cycling. Before you cycle, you have the training wheels. So I think it should be that way. And then, that's my advice I would give them is don't just start with trying to witness your mind. Start by first witnessing things around you. Notice how much judgment and resistance, like for example, the whole technical issues that were happening with our call today, right? I was like,
Yeah.
yes, totally 100% perfect. It is part of what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so learning to
Exactly.
just have that attitude is it's easier for you to witness your mind that way than, being constantly into this reaction pattern of, oh my God, it's not working. What do I do?
Yeah.
Shh, shh,
Yeah.
it's all
Exactly.
gone.
That's why I laughed the whole time because it's like funny. But yeah, you said the phrase pain body a few times. Could you expound on what the pain body is for those who aren't familiar?
Okay. So I'm basically using a terminology that Eckhart Tolle used in his book, Power of Now, and he talks about it in all his books. So the terminology is not as important as what it's pointing to. Okay, so even in mindfulness, nobody should get too attached to the exercises or the words, any of that. It's more important to what it's pointing to. So the
Mhm.
pain body is basically a fancy term to talk about the pain or emotional pain, whether it is any sort of negative emotion that has been held inside of you for all these years, you know. So let's say when you were a child, you wanted to play with your dad, but your dad was busy, so you felt something, you felt a certain emotion, which by the way is very natural as human, but you held on to it because you tried to cry it out, and your mom said, "Big boys don't cry," or whatever, and you learned to disconnect from the emotional experience, so you started internalizing it. And then you were in your kindergarten, you drew an elephant and you colored it pink colored it pink, and then you showed it to your teacher and she said, "No, this is wrong, elephants are gray." And then again you felt that familiar feeling, but you kept it in. And then that kind of conditioned you to feel a certain way and think a certain way. And then you were in high school, you liked this girl, you wanted to go ask her out, and then she's like, "Oh, I wouldn't go out with you in a million years." And again, that pain came up and you internalized it. So life just continued to go on, and all this pain started accumulating under the surface. So even if you're doing positive thinking, this pain is still there. It's not like it's disappearing with you thinking positively. It's just under the surface. So the pain body is nothing but the unconscious pain that has taken its own identity. It's the one that fuels your negative thoughts and self-depreciating, self-belittling thoughts, right? And the one that makes you want to cut yourself and suicide, and the one that goes out and shoots people. That is what we refer to as pain body. So when I say witness your pain body, I'm talking about witnessing that energy of upset that is showing up in your body as a heaviness in your chest or in your heart or in your throat, or that pulsating feeling that makes you want to punch somebody. Witnessing that energy field running through the body, that emotion, energy in motion is what I mean when I say pain body. So pain body is not emotions, it is the stuck emotions that have been accumulating for so long in the body.
Good, good. Now, the last question I have for you, Katika, is how does your spirituality play into your music? Does it really influence
Ah,
like your music, or like how does that work?
okay.
Oh,
I'm not sure if I'm still here. Am I still here? Okay.
yeah, yeah, you froze up.
So my music is an extension of everything that I'm doing, even my YouTube. Everything is an extension. I don't. It's not separate. I definitely write conscious. I don't. The word is just a tag, but
Yeah.
conscious music. The whole
Mhm.
idea of me writing music is for music is very. It's like a pill. It has a very strong effect on the body. So I like to write lyrics that kind of put in a seed for people to think about, a little bit. So definitely it influences my music. But the whole mindfulness part is not very well written about in the music. I think what I write about more is for people to find their own power, for you to go beyond, the limited experience that you're having. I think that's what I've written a little bit more of. And about community, about oneness, about love. I think those are the things I've written about. But it's also the whole reggae industry in general has a lot of space for you to write about conscious music. And I think it just goes really well with the whole vibe of what reggae is about as a music as well. And so I definitely, to answer your question, yes, it influences the music.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kartika. Um, you can leave
Most
all your
welcome.
contact information and everything. It's been very pleasant speaking with you. Very knowledgeable and insightful.
Same here.
Like, definitely,
Same here.
definitely. Right. So yeah, so like you can leave any of your social media if you want people to like follow you or contact you for anything.
Okay. Do you want me to say it out loud or do you want me to write it in the comments?
Oh, you can say it right here.
Okay. Okay, so if you want to get in touch with me or know more, I wouldn't suggest you go to my YouTube channel because it's not fully mindfulness based. My YouTube channel is more personal development, which is not always mindfulness because personal development, you use your mind for, other things. But you can always contact me here on Facebook, so you can see my name, Katka Nair SynchroShakti, or just go on my website, which is synchroshakticoaching.com, or you can just email me at contact@synchroshakticoaching.com. So my brand name is SynchroShakti. If you're interested in the whole personal development stuff, you can always go onto YouTube and type SynchroShakti, which is SYNCHRO, synchro like synchronization, synchronicity, and Shakti, SHAKTI, which means energy in Sanskrit. So, SynchroShakti, you can just go type it up and you'll find me.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you again, Kartika. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you for
And
having me. How do I get out of here though?
oh yeah, I'll just end it. Peace and
Do you
guys,
just kick me
everybody. See you.
out? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Peace.